welcome back. This one's going to be kind of all over the place, so bear with me. Got up to a bunch of stuff since the last video. My next step was to do the ceiling. So I went and got some 1x4 pine boards that I then cut in half widthways so that they're now 1/2x4 by 8-foot boards. And cutting them in half like that allowed me to bend them enough to the curve of the roof to have a nice curved finish side to side instead of front to back. And I used a nail gun to nail them to the studs that I had already had in place in the ceiling. I then also put a layer of fiberglass insulation to fill any gaps that the spray foam didn't quite fill out. Once that was done, I went and got some Danish wood oil, got a cherry wood as my first one, and I started putting that on the pallet boards on the walls. It was a little more red than I would have liked, so I got a second color, a dark walnut, that I used that as the second coat, and that toned down the red a little bit. And so I'm pretty happy with how it looks now. Feels like a cabin in here. So after some experimenting, I think I like the cherry as a base coat, and then put the walnut on top of some of the more red spots, probably on all of it honestly, but especially a heavy layer on some of the redder spots to kind of tone it down. And then I think I'm gonna go with the walnut on the ceiling as well. Definitely no cherry in the ceiling. You can see it right by the wall there. I don't think that looks good. But the walnut on the ceiling looks pretty good. About halfway through finishing the wood, I started having some engine troubles. Things don't always go smoothly, so I wanted to show a little bit of that too. After 2 days of trial and error, I found out that diesel engines require 2 batteries to start in the cold, and this bus would only ever have 1. Well, thankfully I just replaced the main battery, because I was having problems starting the engine. And so I still had the old one lying around, So I got them both hooked up. So I decided to check on my batteries again on the second one, and I found it wasn't really making a good connection between the negative terminal of the battery and the ground of the bus. So what I found was this one, where it was connected to the bus, was super rusty and corroded. So while I was trying to take it off, I tried to take it off, and while I was doing that, the bolt snapped, and half of it is still in the frame of the bus. So I'm getting them all cleaned up right now, and I think I'm gonna just drill a new hole and put a new bolt in. Maybe the battery just wasn't connected right, and I don't have to pull out the starter? Hopefully. Find out. So I got them both hooked up, and after 2 days of trial and error and going through all the systems, trying to figure out why is this bus not starting, I was about to pull the starter out and get a new one. Thankfully I didn't get that far. I couldn't get the damn bolts out. But turns out the batteries were just very dead. I brought them into AutoZone and they tested them for me, charged them up, and they were great. So still got to figure out why they died. Probably just for me trying to start it with one at a time. Hopefully it's just that they haven't died since, so I think we'll be alright. I also found a bad fuse for the engine control module, and when I replaced that, my dashboard came back to life, so that's all good now. This isn't a perfect bus. I'm gonna have troubles, so I want to know how to fix it myself. I don't want to take it to a shop. Towing costs on a vehicle like this are going to be insane, so it's good to know how to do that stuff yourself. Once I got the bus running again, I decided to take it on a first test run. I drove up to the coolest place that I've ever had the pleasure of working. The Wildlife Science Center is a non-profit education, research, conservation, and training facility that specializes in gray wolves and other native Minnesota carnivores. Waking up to wolves howling was pretty special, and I think the Wildlife Science Center was a very fitting first place for me to take this bus. I found some issues that I want to get sorted out before I'm in this full time, but I also found out that it was actually quite comfortable. It was really nice. I just threw an air mattress on the ground, turned the heater on, and it was great. It was like I was just in a cabin. Finally, last night I was able to finish up the sanding process, and I'm ready to start planning out how I'm going to be building my furniture. I also took the tool bench outside because I'm going to stop making such a big mess in here with the saws. Sawdust is natural. I can go on the ground outside. I'll clean it up best I can. Thank you for watching this video. I make these mostly to document and challenge myself, but also to keep the people I care about up to date. And it warms my heart to get the texts and calls and words of support and encouragement. That really means a lot. This has been a huge and daunting project, and I know I'm not close to being done yet, but it's coming along. We're getting there. And I've wanted to give up many times, and I don't think I would have made it this far without all the encouragement, so thank you. I'll see you next time when I'm building a bed.